You boys be quiet down there!
Hey, this is Mr. Jakes from Basement Brothers. This year I went to Tokyo Game Show again, and my main reason for doing so was just to see what my favorite developer, Nihon Falcom, had to offer. Just like last year, when we got off at Kaihin Makuhari Station, trails of Cold Steel Uchiwa fans were being handed out to everyone. The weather wasn't as hot as last year, but most people seemed to gladly accept them nonetheless. I didn't notice any trash bins full of these like I did last year, but I did see an occasional one mixed in the garbage with various discarded pamphlets from the many booths. The game Falcom was promoting this year was, of course, The Legend of Heroes Trails of Cold Steel 4. If you test played the game at the show, you got to take home this awesome Trails of Cold Steel tumbler. Wait, I always thought a tumbler was one of those reusable cups you get from Starbucks. But according to Wikipedia, this is actually a correct usage of the word tumbler. To me, this looks like a nice glass for sipping some good whiskey. I made a half-assed attempt this year to arrive on time to play the game. I got to Kaihin Makuhari Station about an hour after the show opened and headed straight for Falcom's area, but it looks like I arrived just after they ran out of game trial vouchers. So let this be a lesson to any of you who ever want to try out a popular game at TGS. Arrive early, before the show opens. I've been to TGS 4 times and so far I am 0 for 4 for Falcom's game trials. So I guess no Trails of Cold Steel whiskey glass for me. Cold Steel whiskey. Oh well, my copy of the game is arriving in the mail in a few days anyway. And also, you know, we drink more beer than whiskey on this channel. And if you will allow me to rant a bit more, the official TGS smartphone app was worthless. It has a function to allow you to see the current wait times to play games, but for the entire day it showed 0 minutes for every game and said it hadn't been updated since 3 days ago. It wasn't until the next day that it said it had been updated at 7:30 p.m. the previous day. So if you go to TGS, don't bother downloading this crappy app. On a more positive note, this year the play area was set up so you could pretty easily watch other people test play Cold Steel 4 if you wanted to. You're going to be able to see a bit of gameplay footage in the next shots, so you might want to skip ahead if you're really worried about spoiling the game for yourself. The demo doesn't show any story parts, but some fans might consider merely seeing which characters are present in the game to be a minor spoiler. So if you still haven't heard about which characters are making an appearance in Cold Steel 4 and you don't want to know, you can skip to the time shown on your screen now. The demo this year was pretty cool. It allowed the player to choose between 2 different dungeons and 3 different parties to play as: the Estelle and Joshua team, the Lloyd and Ellie team, or the Crode and Duvali team. This allowed me to see a lot of different new characters and locations while watching these people's screens from behind. There were a lot of fans cosplaying as the Trails characters playing the game while I was here, and that's really no surprise when you consider these people are probably super fans who lined up really early in the morning in order to make sure they got a chance to play the game and get their whiskey glass. And if the whiskey glass isn't enough for you, you can always head over to the goods corner and buy whatever Falcom goods you want. Just like every year, the main event for Falcom at TGS is the performance by the Falcom JDK band at the Konami stage. This year they handed out special fans for cheering on the band as they perform, so I got 2 different Falcom fans to take home this year. The audio that I got with this footage is totally awful, so I'll try not to torture your ears with it for very long. I'll put a link in the description below to where you can watch the entire performance in full quality, as captured by the Konami livestream. The setlist this year was as follows: Ikitsuku Saki, the opening for Trails of Cold Steel 3. Next, they did a couple of instrumental tracks. The first was a new battle theme from Cold Steel 4 called Might Urge. I'm not sure this was a very good choice. It's hard to get too excited about battle music from a game we haven't played yet. I'm sure this will be a beloved track soon after we've had a chance to play the game for a while, but maybe not quite yet. They followed this up with the far more familiar Sophisticated Fight, which is the main battle music from Trails in the Sky FC. This was a nice little surprise. Next, Megumi Sasaka came back on stage to sing I'll Remember You, the ending from Trails of Cold Steel 2. And finally, they did Ashita Eno Kiseki, the opening for the new game, Trails of Cold Steel 4. You may have noticed that the band has a tenor sax player in the lineup again this year, who is now an official part of the lineup. This is due to longtime violinist Mizuki Mizutani's official departure from the band in January 2018. The sound of her violin will be missed. Megumi's vocals seem to have improved a bit again this year, but I can't say the same about the band. They seemed a bit out of practice and their performance was a little bit sloppy. You'd think they'd be in better form since they also had a full live show to perform in Akihabara on the second day of TGS. Just listen to this part of Ikitsukusaki. Is this even how this song is supposed to go? You can hear Megumi put a strong emphasis on the attack at the beginning of this chorus when the guitar and bass are supposed to come back in. It sounds like they just missed their cue and kind of timidly joined back in a bit late. There were lots of other little parts that felt a little sloppy, but the band performance was a lot of fun as always, nonetheless. After the performance, I went around back to the Trails of Cold Steel 4 area, and look who's here!
Michichi!
Later, the band came to join Mishi too. I say it every year, but it really is very cool that when I go to TGS, I get to see people who worked on Falcom soundtracks at such a close distance. Well, now it's time to say goodbye. Bye-bye, Mishi. Whoops, Mishi, you better watch your step there. I made a video very similar to this one last year, so you may want to check out that video too if you haven't already. I also plan to do a quick video giving my initial impressions of Cold Steel 4 after my copy arrives, so please stay tuned for that. Unfortunately, I won't be sipping whiskey from a Cold Steel whiskey glass while I play it, but I plan on enjoying the game a lot nonetheless. Thanks for watching, and please subscribe to Basement Brothers for more videos about Falcom and other classic game companies.